Hello everyone, Beyond here from Multiverse, and in today's video, I will be showing you how to install Arch Linux on a modern computer. Let's get right into it. So first, we're going to need to connect to the internet. So in order to do that, we're going to run the iwctl utility. So let's write iwctl in our terminal. We're just going to press enter. You'll see a little prompt. We're going to write station list. You'll see a list of devices. Your device should be named WLAN0, something like that. So you're gonna find your device name. Keep that in mind. So in this case, mine is WLAN0. We're gonna type in station WLAN0 get-networks. You'll see a list of networks. You're gonna write station WLAN0 connect in quotes your Wi-Fi. So in this case, mine is like Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi name is Wi-Fi. You're gonna do another end quote. And press enter. It'll ask you for a passphrase or basically your Wi-Fi password. You're gonna type it in, and well, that's it. You're just gonna press exit. You're gonna type exit. You're gonna write clear to get all the gunk off our screen, and then you're gonna write ping archlinux.org or google.com, and then you should see 6432 bytes. It should come up with some successes. You're gonna write control C, and you should see like less packet loss, should see a bunch of 64 bytes from archlinux.org. I'm gonna write clear to get the gunk off our screen. I'm gonna make my font size a bit bigger so you guys can see. Let's configure our time zone. In order to do this, we're gonna write date. We're gonna look at our time zone. We're gonna see if it's okay. If it's okay, we're still gonna need to do this. So we're gonna look at our time zone. You're gonna see. And we're gonna adjust it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write time date CTL list time zones, and then you get a list of time zones. You can scroll up and down using the up and down arrow keys, and then you're gonna scroll down to find your time zone, which it should. So the format is region / and then your city. So in this case, let's say I live in America, Halifax, right? I don't actually live there. I'm just gonna use that as like a little pretend, I guess. So in this case, I live in America / Halifax. You're gonna keep that note. You're gonna keep that in your mind, and then you're gonna write time date CTL set time zone set dash time zone. Then the name of your Unix time zone. So which in this case is America / Halifax. This is cap sensitive. You're gonna press enter, and then you're gonna write clear. You're gonna write date. Your date should adjust to the correct time. And now let's format our disks. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a full wipe. So all of the data will be gone. We're going to replace it with Arch Linux. Let's write clear. Then we're going to write LSBLK. We're going to write enter. And you'll see a list of disks. So these lists of disks, so on the list of disks, you should probably find the disk that has the biggest size and is a type of disk, or yeah. So let's check all the disks. So loop 0 isn't it, because that's the really small. SR0 is not it. That's my CD-ROM type loop type ROM. And then NVMe 0 and 1. The size is really big, and the type is disk, which is a hard disk. So the size was the biggest, and the type is disk. It doesn't have to be the size. The size doesn't have to be the biggest, but the type has to be disk. So now that we know our name of the device, in this case, mine is NVMe 0 and 1. We're gonna write fdisk /dev / and then the name of your device. Yours might be SDA or eMMC, like MMC 0 and 1, something like that. In this case, I'm gonna do /dev /NVMe 0 and 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write a whole new partition table. So we're going to write G, create a new GPT dislabel, then we're going to write W, then we're going to write clear. Now let's actually partition it. So what we're going to do is we're going to write C fdisk /dev and then the name of our device. So in this case, mine was NVMe 0 and 1. You can run LSBLK again if you forgot it. So in this case, LSBLK NVMe 0 and 1 cfdisk /dev /NVMe 0 and 1. You're gonna press enter. and then you'll have a little GUI like this. So left and right to choose the options on the bottom, up and down to choose your partitions. We have free space. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new partition. Delete this. I'm gonna make 1 and then capital G. This is gonna be our EFI partition, basically the partition that we're gonna boot off of. And we're just gonna press enter. We're gonna scroll down to type using your left and right arrow keys. Gonna go to type and enter. You'll get a list like this, up and down arrow keys to navigate. You're gonna go up to EFI system right here. You're gonna press enter. So now this is the type of EFI system, which is gonna be our boot partition. We're gonna make another one. This partition is optional, but I would recommend it. So in this case, I have 6 gigabytes of RAM. I'm gonna make a 12 gigabyte partition. This is gonna be something called our swap partition. This is basically just in case our system runs out of RAM. This will be our like recovery partition to like, so our computer doesn't like die when it runs out of RAM. It has a little like partition to get more RAM from. But this is not like extending your system RAM. This is a really slow version of it. This is like only for emergency cases. You can make just double your RAM, the size of your RAM. I'm gonna make it double. And then the rest, oh, by the way, we have to change the type of this. So we're gonna go select our swap partition. I'm gonna go all the way down to type right here using your left and right arrow keys. You're gonna press enter. And then here's your list again, up and down. You're gonna go to Linux swap. You're gonna press enter. Now let's scroll down to our new free space. We're gonna press new and we're just gonna press enter to use all the space. Then we're gonna go down to type again using your left and right arrow keys, press enter, and then use up and down arrow keys to navigate this list. And then you're gonna use, instead of Linux file system, you're gonna choose Linux root x86-64. Gonna press enter. Then we're gonna go down using your left and right arrow keys to write. All right, type right. We type yes, the full word yes, and then we just press enter. The partition table has been altered, which means we can quit the program, type clear. Then we can write lsblk. We should see little like branches, and then these branches should show 1 gigabyte, 12 gigs, and 133 gigabytes. If it doesn't show, you probably forgot to write the changes, so you have to do it again. We've now formatted our partitions. So now your devices might be named the stuff under your main device, NVMe 0 and 1. There's gonna be NVMe 0 and 1 P1, P2, P3, or like dev SDA, like SDA1, the SDA1, SDA2, SDA3, SDA1, SDA2, SDA3. So in this case, mine is NVMe 0 and 1 P1. First, we're gonna create our main partition. So in this case, mine is NVMe 0N1P3. Yours might be dev SDA3, just think if you have like a hard drive or an SSD. So we're gonna write mkfs. Now, what you can do is you can actually do 2 options. If you want more like, if you want to be more safe, you know, just in case, you can write BTRFS to have ButterFS, which has more support for snapshots and like system restore. In this case, I'm just gonna go with ext4, which is usually the standard of Linux. I'm gonna use ext4 because I just like ext4. I personally don't like ButterFS, so you can use ButterFS or ext4. In this case, I will choose ext4, and we're gonna type /dev/ and then the partition that we made, which is our root partition. So our root partition is probably the biggest partition out of all of these, out of the list of partitions. So in this case, the biggest partition out of the list of partitions is NVMe 0N1P3. This is our root partition, and this is the last one. So what we're gonna do is write /dev/ NVMe 0N1P3, which will format our third partition, NVMe 0N1P3, of size 133 gigabytes. This is our root partition. Hit enter, and now it's going to format our file system. After a few seconds, we're going to create our swap partition. Our swap partition is the one that's 12 gigabytes in size, which in my case is 12 gigabytes. So we're going to write mkswap, mkswap /dev /NVMe 0N1P2 /dev /SDA if you're 2 or if you're on another system. We're going to press enter. We're going to make our swap space, and now we have our swap fully created. Now you're going to write mkfs.fat, all right, -f, capital F, 32, and then your EFI system partition. So in this case, my EFI system partition is the smallest one, should be the smallest one, which is the size of 1 gigabyte, and it's the first one. So we're gonna write /dev /nvme 0 and 1p1, which is mine. It could be SDA1. You're gonna press enter. Your fat partition has now been created. You can now write clear to get all the gunk off your screen. And then we're gonna mount all the partitions. So we're gonna write lsblk again, and then we have all those partitions again. We're gonna use this as a reference. Mount, all right, and then we're gonna mount your root partition, which is the partition you formatted as butterfs or extended 4 or exe4. So in this case, I formatted NVMe 0 and 1p3 as extended 4, ext4, and it's the biggest one, which is my root partition. So we're gonna write mount /dev /nvme 0 and 1p3 or /dev whatever /dev /sda something 2 /mnt. I'm gonna press enter. Now we mounted our root partition to the /mnt directory. We're now gonna make a new directory to mount --mkdir to /dev /nvme 0 and 1p1, which is our EFI partition, which should be the smallest one. So this is the one that we formatted as FAT, the FAT file system. I'm gonna press enter. /mnt/boot, and then we're gonna write swap on /dev /nvme 0 and 1p2, which is our swap partition, which is 12 gigabytes in size. So that's our swap partition. We're gonna turn our swap partition on, and there we go. We now have our swap partition. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna write reflector, and then we're gonna write an arrow, a shift, and then your shift period, which is greater than. We're gonna write etc /etc. /mnt We're gonna write /etc /pacman.d/mirror list. Then we're gonna write and reflector, the double ampersand, which is shift 7, reflector 2 /mnt/etc /pacman. Wait, no, don't write the double at. We now press enter. And now we have all our mirrors getting, we know if we write cat /etc/pacman.d/mirror list, we have a list of mirrors. So now we're going to install Arch Linux. I'm tired of saying partition. We're going to write pacstrap -k /mnt base Linux firmware sudo and nano. If you want base devel, which is like a development package, you can write that base -devel. I don't want base devel, so if you run this command, you're gonna press enter, and you'll get little pacman master key. It's gonna create your pacman master key. So it might take take a while, so just give it a sec. Our packstrap is almost done. It's at 90%. And now it's going to say proceed to installation. It's automatically going to go. And now it's going to download Linux firmware and all the packages that we need to, well, run our system. So we're going to let this go for a while. And this will finish in, well, a few minutes. Alright, it might sound a bit different, but we are now back from our installation. We are now going to configure our newly installed system. So we're gonna write something called an fs tab file, which basically shows the system what mounts you need to what systems you need to mount in order to boot properly. So we're gonna write gen fs tab, which will just automatically generate for us -u /mnc to double arrow, so shift period 2 times to /mnt/etc fs tab. That's done, and we just write arch -ch for root to /mnt. Right, clear. And then this is your new Arch system basically, but we're not done yet. Let's do a lot of stuff. So first, let's set up our time zone. So we're gonna write ln dash sf, so symbolic enforce, to slash usr slash share, to slash zone info, and your Unix time zone. In this case, mine was America slash Halifax, and then we're gonna symlink it to etsy local time. Pretty sure. Yeah, okay. So you run that command. I gotta remember your Unix time zones. Mine was so basically USR share zone info slash America, which is slash region slash city, to slash etsy local time. Clear? Clear? HW clock, hardware clock, dash sys TOHC. Now we're gonna edit a file called etsy local.gen. So we're gonna write nano, which is our text editor, slash etc slash locale dot gen. We press enter, and this is going to be your text editor. So in order to navigate nano, you're going to want to use your arrow keys to navigate your little flashing, blinking cursor, and just use your arrows, and you can press Control and W. All right, you're gonna press Control W1 in nano, and you're gonna write en underscore something with your country, your two letter initial country. So in my case, I live in Canada. All right, so I'm gonna write en underscore ca. US might be US, so I'm gonna write en underscore US in this case. And here we're gonna uncomment UTF-8. We're gonna remove the hashtag. So I repeat, we're gonna go here, right? And we're gonna delete the hashtag. So we're gonna press backspace on the hashtag, and then we're gonna press Control S. All right, wrote 507 lines, and then write Control X. We're gonna write clear to get all the gunk off the screen. We're gonna write nano slash etc slash locale dot conf. Then we're gonna write lang all caps equals. In this case, so we chose n underscore us dot utf8. So I'm gonna write n underscore us dot utf dash 8. That's the language that we chose. Yours might be n underscore ca dot utf dash 8. And we're just gonna write control S to wrote one line. Control X. Remember, this is case sensitive. Clear. And we just write this command called locale dash gen. We press enter. Generating locales and generation complete. Remove this stuff off the screen. And now, if you need to set your console keyboard layout, you're gonna write nano slash etsy slash v console dot conf. Enter, and you're gonna write keymap and then your keymap. So you can't really list your keymaps. So you just have to know, I guess. So I have no need for a keymap. We're gonna create the host name file. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna write echo. All right. And I'm gonna write double quotes your host name. So my host name is you can set it something funny. I guess I'll just name it like the I use Arch BTW. All right, I'm gonna put it so shift dot again, shift period, which is the right arrow, to slash etsy host name. Enter. If we type cat slash etsy slash host name. I use Arch, by the way, is our host name. We're gonna set our root password. So in order to set our password, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write pass and WD. Pass WD. It's gonna ask us for a new password. So in this case, I'm gonna just write my own password. Actually, I'm gonna make mine 123. Pretty weak password. And then we're now going to install our bootloader. So in order to do this, we're going to install a few packages. So in this case, we're going to use a bootloader called grub. Grub is the this is probably the default. Sorry, I just hit my mic. It's, probably like the default bootloader for most OSs. So we're just going to write pacman -s grub EFI boot mgr. Resolving dependencies, and then you'll get three packages. We're gonna write y. I'm gonna take some time, so give it a second. It might take some time. I'll be back when this is done. All right, here we go. So now we have grub installed. We're gonna write grub dash install dash EFI dash directory equals /boot. So what this does is gonna install grub to --efi directory equals. It's gonna install grub to /boot, which is our EFI partition. We're gonna press enter. It's gonna install grub. Should say installing for x86 64 EFI platform. Installation finished, no error reported. We're gonna generate our grub configuration so we can actually boot into the OS. We're gonna write grub -mkconfig make config -o /boot /grub and then /grub.cfg .config. I'm gonna press enter. And there we go. We're also going to do something called, we're also going to install something called microcode. So this is going to be depending on the CPU you have. If you have an Intel CPU, you're going to want to install Intel microcode. If you have an AMD CPU, you're going to want to have AMD microcode. So in this case, let's just say I have an Intel CPU. You're going to run pacman-s intel-ucode. Then press Y, and then you're gonna run the grub mkconfig command again, and then it's gonna generate your ucode. It's gonna generate the config with your ucode. In this case, I want a VM, so I do not need my ucode. I do not need ucode. Can write clear, and now we basically have our system configured. But this is the bare minimum. Having your default account as root is not safe, so let's make our own user account. We're gonna write editor, all caps, equals all lowercase nano, vsudo, and press enter. You'll see we're now in something called etsy sudoers.temp. We're gonna scroll all the way down. Scroll all the way down using your down arrow. And then when you see root all equals all colon all, you're gonna see uncommon to allow members of group wheel to execute any command. You're gonna want to uncomment that. So you remove the space and remove the hashtag below this line, and then write Control S, wrote 122 lines, and then Control X. And now, if you write clear, we're gonna make our user account. So we write user add -m, which is create home -g. We're gonna put it in group wheel -s/bin/bash is our shell, and then we're gonna write our username, which is hdfsyu in my case. We're going to write pass wd hdfsyu 123 and that's our password. Clear. And now we have our Arch system installed, but that's not it. We're gonna have to install our custom software. So if you want a desktop environment up and running, what we're gonna do, we're gonna write pacman -syu to update our package databases. Then we're gonna write pacman -s. This is gonna be a really long command, so you follow up. Already. We're gonna install pulse audio -alsa, pulse audio -jack, pulse audio -bluetooth, blues utils. This is optional. Cups is for printing. I'm not gonna install cups. Actually, I'm gonna install cups and cups PDF. Then we're gonna install our desktop, which is Plasma. We're gonna use the KDE desktop environment. It's gonna be called Plasma. We're gonna run KE-apps, and then we just go to, and then we have to install Network Manager. So in this case, our package name is Network Manager SDDM. We're also going to install Wayland. We're going to use the Wayland compositor and Wayland protocols. We're also going to install, let's just get NeoFetch just to look at something. And then we're going to enable everything. So if we want to do this, we're also going to need to install SOF-firmware. So now we have this long command. Pulse audio also jack, pulse audio Bluetooth, Bluetooth users, blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of stuff. We're also going to install our custom stuff. I'm going to install Firefox, because we need a web browser. I'm going to install ZSH. I'm also going to install, I think that's pretty much it. We're going to have, NeoFetch, because, we got to get something, funky to look at. We're going to write double ampersand, so shift 7 2 times, and I'm going to write these commands. System CTO enable not pulse IO, SDDM, double ampersand, system CTL, enable. We're gonna also enable cups.service, and then system CTL, enable cups.socket, and then system CTL, enable Bluetooth, and then system CTL, enable network manager, and then system. Actually, I think that's it. So what this command is gonna do is it's gonna install our desktop environment, audio, Bluetooth, printing support, Firefox, and ZSH and NeoFetch, which is basically just a nice tool, you know. It's also gonna enable our login manager. It's gonna enable cups. It's gonna enable cups.service and cups.socket. It's gonna enable Bluetooth, which is Blues, and then it's gonna also enable network manager, which is our network, which is basically what we're gonna have a network on. So now, if we press enter, we just press enter. KDE apps, yep. It's not KDE apps. It's actually you can use the left arrow. You can go press up and then use the left arrow. It's actually KDE apps meta. Wow, I really suck at this. All right, so you can replace KDE apps with console. Press enter. Press enter. Press enter. Press enter. Press enter. Here we go. We're going to install 2 GB packages, Wayland protocols, and all of our, well, apps and stuff. So we just press Y, land, let it rip. This is probably the longest part of the install. This is going to take a long time, and I'm hoping that you have good internet, because this will take a long time. So I will see you back when this is done. All right, we are back from our installation. Our installation is done. Might sound a bit different. So you see filter enable unit network manager.service. So I misspelled it. So it's actually just not enable, not network manager. And yeah, that's it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write exit, and then I'm gonna type unmount -r/mnt, which will recursively unmount all the partitions. Might take some time. And now if we just be okay, you see here we have our partitions, and that one label swap. And then all we have to do is we have to type reboot, and it'll reboot our system into our new installation. Okay, so here we are, rebooted on our hard drive. I'm gonna go take out my USB drive real quick, and then it might just take my bit just to reboot, just a first boot, and we should have our mouse cursor and our SDDM. So Plasma X11. I'm gonna type in our password. And that's Plasma. That is KDE. Might take a bit to load. First boot. This might take a bit, but I'm afraid if I pause the video, it's just gonna load, so. Okay, yeah, I was right. Anyway, here's Conky. Beautiful Conky. And this is KDE Plasma. This is literally KDE Plasma. We're in. We have our internet right here, and we can even browse the web. So actually, let me pull up my own YouTube channel on this. This is my YouTube channel, and we can like browse the web, do whatever. So let's go into post installation. So we have our Plasma. So now what we can do is we can go to Plasma. We can type in console with a K, and we can pin this to taskbar. This is basically our terminal, so we can just write ls. So do whatever in the terminal. So what we're gonna do is first we're gonna set up time synchronization. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write time date CTL set -ntp true. and type in our password. And now we have time synchronization, so it should synchronize with our time zone. And if we run neofetch, there is our computer. We are running Arch Linux on VirtualBox because I'm running this on a VM with the kernel, Pacman, Bash. We have everything. We can change our screen resolution to make this a bit more pleasing to the eye. Breeze dark. Let me just fix my screen resolution. 1 second. Yep, so that's it for Arch Linux installation. I hope that helped you guys in some way. And well, might do a Gentoo installation tutorial later. Bye-bye.